All right, we have Mr. Craig Morris here. He is one of our wonderful candidates for the Eagle Mountain City Council this coming election. And so, first off, Craig, thank you so much for doing this interview. I
My
appreciate it.
pleasure. Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for having
absolutely.
me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, first off, let's hear a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Yeah, I grew up in West Valley, so born and raised. My parents are still there. My wife and I did
Nice.
live in South Carolina for a year for grad school, but other than that, we've been west side of the tracks, right? West Valley, and then we just moved to, 2009 Eagle Mountain. Just, I don't know, west side roots, I guess.
Yeah, right on. Okay, so 2009, you've seen it grow quite a bit since you've been out here, I'm sure.
Yeah, when I first came out, Redwood Road was one lane both ways. Lehigh Main Street was one lane both ways, right? And traffic
Man.
back then was horrible commuting into Salt Lake where I was working, right? But like I knew what I was signing up for. You could get homes for like a fraction of what they cost, everywhere else. Like
Yeah,
back like in
totally.
2009, right? That's no longer the case, right? I mean, you might save a
Yeah.
little bit on an Eagle Mountain home versus Lehigh, but it seems like negligible at this point.
Yeah, it's so crazy. The cost of living is just like the cost of living and then also the cost of housing, which is a part of that. And just these past couple of years has just been absurd,
Yeah, yeah,
which is
absolutely.
just a whole long tangent that I could go down for sure. But man, yeah, you got in at a great time.
We did.
And yeah, fantastic. So, what inspired you to run for city council?
Yeah, so I mentioned right that we moved out because your dollar went further, right? But we had
Yeah,
opportunities to go elsewhere. We sold our first home in 2013 and built across the highway on the north side of SR 73, right? We chose to stay at that point. After grad
nice.
school, we chose to come back, right? Because costs are at this point like they're comparable, right? Whether you're in Eagle Mountain,
Yeah,
Saratoga, Lehigh, right? Like there's not a whole lot of change. We also love like the area that we live in are like half acre, acre. Some people over there, several acres, right? I enjoy that. I really love that personally. So we stayed in Eagle Mountain by choice, right? We love it out here. Lots of friends. And I think that that's my long answer of why I decided to run is I just feel like the Eagle Mountain that I wanted to stay in is not the same today as it was, 4 years ago, 8 years ago, the times that I had opportunities to live elsewhere, right? And
yeah.
Eagle Mountain is awesome, and we love being here. I've coached hundreds of kids in junior jazz and little league, like
Nice.
soccer, t-ball, flag football was my main one. I'm now coaching tackle football, right, in the like Cedar Valley Little League program. I'm
Nice.
very much like invested in the community from that standpoint too, right? And I care about those families of the kids that I coach, mine as well, right? And I really just feel like decisions today are being made that I don't think we'll like 10 years from now or heck even 5 years from now. And I want Eagle Mountain to be a place that people want to live now, that people want to stay in 5 years and 10 years and 20, right? Your kids, your grandkids should want to come back and visit here or live here. And I feel like we're making short-sighted decisions as a current council that
Hmm.
that I don't agree with. And everyone that I've talked to, again, I haven't talked with everyone in Eagle Mountain, right? But the people that I've talked to and the
Right.
people that are willing to reach out and have these conversations, they agree with me. And so that's why I thought, look, it's not like I have this abundance of free time laying around. I don't believe that any of the current city council members or those running just have all this free time, right? Like we're busy people, we're scheduled people. But I don't want to just sit on the sidelines and complain about decisions being made and things that are happening. I want to be involved, right? I want to help, and some of that is things that are important to me, right? But as I've shared with voters and shared with residents, I'm learning that they share a lot of the same concerns, and so someone has to do it. Like someone has to get in,
Hmm.
and here I am. I'm in the ring, right? So I'm ready to go, and we're going to give it our best shot.
Well, awesome. Thanks for doing that. That's an admirable thing. It sounds like your intentions are there. And there are some things that you mentioned that are kind of short-sighted decisions. Could you shed light on anything specific that would be that needs to be preserved in Eagle Mountain, or any current decisions that are going on right now?
Yeah, there's two main things, and I hope that as I share this with members of the community that they understand that I want to be respectful of property rights. So this isn't me coming in and saying I want to tell people what to do with their land. But there is like a strategy to it. There has to be a vision for how we do it to keep Eagle Mountain the kind of place that attracted most of us here in the first place, right? And a lot of that has to do with housing density, right? Awesome people that live in townhomes, condos, right? This isn't about saying that I don't want those. We have them though. We have a good mix, right? We have a good mix. And if our
Mm-hmm.
plan, the plan shows that it should be larger parcels or different planned amenities, well then I don't think that we should change that because someone comes and asks for it, right? And that's my biggest thing is I think that probably initially good intentions from people serving and people working in the city, but like we're bending or we're changing or we're rezoning things that I'm like, if it was good for the vision or the plan to have it a certain way, then keep it that way. And if you decide as a council or the city votes, right, and we decide to change things because it works for our city, great, that's awesome. But doing it because a big box retailer comes to town and says, I want this piece of dirt, like that doesn't make sense to me. Like that to me is
Yeah.
reactive, not proactive, right? And I'm saying,
Yeah.
like, I want big box here, but I also
Yeah.
strategically want them in a place that's not going to further impede our current traffic issues, right? That like, and I
Which are
want them in a,
huge.
yeah, they are, right? And I want them in a place that not only will they come and bring their tax revenue to our city, which we're a city that does need that economic development, right? But put them on a
Yeah.
parcel or a piece of dirt where there's room for others to come, right? Let them anchor new commercial developments. I don't think that we should rezone regional commercial to make it commercial because a big box retailer wants it. Like to me, that's not the right decision.
Yeah.
And so those are the things that we're seeing both on a commercial level and a residential level, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
we need economic development. I love diversity of different parts of your life, like young newlyweds, right? Like whatever it is, like there are awesome things that can be planned for. Like let's just stop reacting to all the requests, and that to
Yeah.
me just feels like I don't know. I don't like that our city is being reactive because I think it's a pretty flipping cool place to be. And I think that
Yeah.
it has a lot to offer that we shouldn't have to like just take deals the way that others want us to. Like that's my big hang up. So I'm not trying to be like um, cryptic about this, right? But like I do feel like there's a lot of good that can happen on the economic development side, and we need it. I just feel that we're not doing it like from a strategic standpoint, and frankly, that's going to affect our quality of life here with traffic and safety, and so that's hopefully that answers your question.
Well, there's a lot of people that are right there with you. And so the fact that you're taking the time out of your not so free schedule to do that, that's pretty awesome. Most people obviously don't do that. And someone does need to step up, because a lot of people in Eagle Mountain moved out here for that reason,
Yeah,
to, because of the development. And we're hoping that it's developed in a way that benefits everybody in the future, whether it's 5 years, 10 years from now, and sticking with the vision. A lot of people, like when I help someone buy or sell a home, when they're moving into Eagle Mountain, they want to see the overall plan for Eagle Mountain, and
yeah,
you have that color coded zoning map that's been around for,
yeah.
I don't know, at least 5 years. And that's kind of what people base their plans on. And so it can mess up a lot of people's overall viewpoint of what the future would hold in Eagle Mountain if that's not upheld. So that's totally, I'm with you there, man.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so great. You kind of hit on all my questions all at once, which is fantastic. But overall, I'm going to ask you this: what will you bring to the Eagle Mountain City Council?
Yeah. So it's interesting, like all the conversations that I've had, there is some confusion as to what a city council member actually can do and what things they're in control of, right? If you get on the Eagle Mountain Facebook pages, the citizens page or the community page, right? Like traffic is numero uno, right? Everyone's like, oh my gosh, it takes me so long.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, like city council doesn't have $100 million budgets or $1 billion budgets, right? When you're talking about infrastructure like roads, like that's a UDOT, that's a state level decision, right? And then in particular, that's the MAG, right? That's all the mayors of the different cities out here that get together and they're working on what monies get allocated and to where, right? So like for
yeah,
anyone to come in and be like, I'm going to build roads, like you can't actually. Like that's why you have to be so strategic about how you do other developments, both residential and commercial, because you're not in control of the roads, right? And there are some roads that will be widened eventually, but like we talk in 10 years from now, like it's not looking real good to have solutions right away. So the idea for me on council is that we get really strategic about the stuff that we can control. There was a $20 million bond for the widening of the airport road, and that's like a year behind schedule, right? So those are things where like I would get involved and say, how do we solve this problem, right? Like in the private sector, like I have to solve problems, right? We solve problems in our, and that's what it is. Like there's a problem when all of these things are taking way longer and stuff happens. I understand that, right? But I don't feel like the communication has been very transparent. And I don't believe that like all that could be done is being done. So I'm committed to doing that on the road side. The other things that I would do, right, is if I'm in time to stop certain developments commercially from happening, right, and maybe it's a matter of getting water and electricity and sewer to some of the commercially zoned places so that big box would want to come there. That's a little bit of the apprehension from what I'm understanding from council, right? And I'm like, then I'm going to work to do that, right? And I'm going to work to put together solutions that like support our vision and support getting the right economic development here. Part of, I'll have a little video series over the next few days leading up to the primary. And part of what I'm going to talk about as well is um, the Parks and Rec aspect. Like if you've been here a long time, like we have, like there was previously a vote for a recreation center, right, to be built, a community fitness center, right, and the community voted against it. Like and for good reason. I don't think that the tax base was here, and frankly I don't know that it is yet, but there are creative solutions for getting amenities, right, with private public partnerships, where my goal would be to
mm-hmm.
say, what can we get here as an amenity that doesn't have to increase property tax, right? And there are ways to do that. I coach a travel basketball team, and my girls play in facilities all over the country that are like joint ventures, right? Private, public.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, like it's working and we don't have to reinvent the wheel, but we have to go do that work, right? And so the idea isn't, hey, let me come in and raise taxes and go build a rec center. I'm like, I don't think we're ready for that. Like let the city vote again at some point when if they're ready to, raise property taxes. But for me, I'm like, there are people willing to invest in the recreation side of it. And I just think that like the opportunities that I've had both as a coach of other kids and having my kids play for other coaches, like community happens when you're with people, right? And some people have the benefit of being members of a church that maybe has a lot of activity and you can meet people, right? That isn't the solution for everyone. And you don't have to want your kid to play D1 sports or go pro in anything. But if you're out on a Saturday at the ball field and there's tons of other families there and your kids are making friends with other people, right? And the programs are run well and they are, oh, apparently my phone tipped over. And if the programs are run well, right, and they're affordable, that we're not pricing certain people out of participation in these activities, like that's a big deal to me. And I feel like we do have a lot of room for improvement as a city on the recreation side. Again, not to say, hey, you got to play all things sports. Like that's not the idea, but the idea is where else do you get to rub shoulders with people in your community? Like that's what I'm trying to create. I want people, we can't overnight build a walkable downtown. Now, is that a really good idea? And I think that it should happen. Absolutely. But like we can make quick fixes to the way things are done on a recreation side where we are creating opportunities for people to feel part of the community. And that's what I'm going to do. So that's a long answer, not trying to be like
That's wonderful.
a politician in, the way, but I'm like, but like, that's really how I feel. I'm like, there are things that I can change that I can do. There are other things that I can just assist in and bird dog, right? And try to like open up the communication. And then there are things that frankly, a city council member can't do anything about. And so I just want people to be clear on that. I'm not promising things that can't be done, right? But I do love this place and have a vision for what I think it can stay and become. And that's why I'm out asking for your vote, right? And I'm asking for your vote, Cole, and I'm asking for votes from the other citizens in Eagle Mountain that care to listen to this interview, right? Or take a look at my sign or follow my video series over the next few days, right? Like would love to have dialogue with anyone that wants to, but I'm asking for your vote so that we can, go be a force for good.
Yeah. Well, those are some strong reasons why. No promises, everyone, but strong reasons why, and great vision for the future. So where can people find your videos that you're going to be posting over the next few days?
Yeah, so I'm gonna put them on Facebook. Got to dust off my old social media. I'm not super active on social media at all, but I've been advised that I need to be. So they'll go there. I've been old school, just texting friends, and I have one video out where I just sent the link to friends. I'm like, hey, share this with a few of your friends that don't know me. Share this with a few of your friends, and that's starting to get some traction. And then and then the ask on social media will be if you see it, and you have friends or family in Eagle Mountain, like share it, like,
Great.
tag them on it, get it in front of as many people as possible. And at the end of the day, I just want everybody to vote. Like, I feel like there's opportunity for us as a city to be better in, using the beautiful freedoms that we do have to cast a vote. Right. And so I ask for votes for me, but I also vote. Like you should make yourself aware of what's happening in your city, and like it's a privilege to vote. And so I hope that everyone will do it. Get out. Like it's pretty stinking easy. Like you just fill out the ballot that showed up at your house, right? And there's still time if you're not a registered voter or you're not registered in Eagle Mountain, you can still do that as well and vote in the primary, as early as Tuesday. So get out and vote.
That's great. Great. Awesome. And if you're not registered to vote, you can start by going to eaglemountaincity.com, and they have some links there that you can get set up to do so. And if there's a specific Facebook page or anything, just send it to me and I'll get it out to our viewers so they can see it as well.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. And again, this is Craig Morris. Craig, thank you so much, and all the best to you.
Thanks. Appreciate your time, Cole.